Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. Hello everybody, we're back today to talk a little bit more about the Michael Funk, Eagle Nation Cycles hostage situation that kind of went awry over in Neenah, Wisconsin. Now, when I did the original video, I showed you guys the footage of what actually happened to Mr. Funk through a camera that was, I think, maybe on a dash, or it might have been a body camera, but it caught the incident where Mr. Funk came out of the back of Eagle Nation Cycles, was being fired at, scrambled to safety, looked back to make sure he wasn't being followed directly, and upon turning to try to run away, he was shot by an officer. So my instinct when I saw it told me that there seemed something a little bit strange about it, because it all seemed to happen so fast. You know, and the thing is that it's a hostage situation. So it's a little strange for me to see a shoot first, ask questions later kind of attitude, but I do understand that Mr. Funk had a gun in his hand, so that did complicate the matter, and I admit that. I use this image here of a friendly officer who who we see is like very active in the community. They're shaking hands with an elderly gentleman and being generally reassuring, and this is the image that we all want to think of when we think of our law enforcement and our police and sheriffs and those sort of things, because they're there to protect us and to protect society and protect our towns and cities and stuff, and they're there to we want to trust those people, and this is the way that we want to see them. But unfortunately, we eventually see things like we're going to see here in a video regarding Hoffer and Ross, the two officers that shot Mr. Funk. My issue is that you see these two walking away from shooting Mr. Funk, and they're immediately talking about like they're getting their story straight. The thing that I find interesting about it is how Hoffer and Ross are talking about what it was like when they went into Eagle Nation Cycles originally, when they got there and they went in and they eventually went back out or whatever, right? But they're talking about what they encountered when they went inside. Hoffer says, "Oh yeah, I saw one guy who was shooting," which would have been Mr. Fladoff, and I didn't see anybody else. Ross says, "I didn't see anybody else." Hoffer says, "Oh yeah, I saw them. They were all in there. They were standing around," or whatever. But then Fladoff obviously was the one with the gun and started firing at him, and he actually says he got hit and everything. Now, keep in mind, this is a story. When the story of them going in the first time, this is something that happened some time ago, and that they've had time to think about that and what happened. The fact that they would be talking about it and trying to reanalyze it at this point in time tells me that he's now wondering whether or not he should have shot Mr. Funk, and now he's trying to spin this story, because he's trying to say that there's no hostages in there. This is a hostage situation, and he's now trying to spin like what happened when they originally went in a way where he's trying to say that the people in there aren't hostages, that they were just luring him and the cops in there for some reason so that they could get in trouble for shooting a cop or something. I don't know.
It's all down. I just tossed it on. Thank you. Here, I'm sorry, that was scary as... And I'm still on too. But
What's that?
I said I'm still on too, but that was scary as balls. And I didn't think of it until you guys started to get fired at, and I got no place to shoot at them.
Yeah, I never even got to
Thank you.
light on fire. We fucking stopped in the fatal funnel. That's why I fucking got shot.
Yeah. Because they tripped over something. I didn't even see anything inside. I just saw the dude and a bunch of motorcycles, it looked like.
And there was fucking 3 dudes or 4 dudes in there.
Was there? I just saw the one.
There. At least your vitals are covered.
Yeah. They ambushed us, motherfuckers.
What's that?
There was nobody in there as a hostage.
No, fuck that.
They were pulling. This is all to get us.
Fuck that.
Stupid.
Okay, so this is like the commanding officer here. And wait till you see his concerns. This is Hoffer right here. He was the one who was shot in the head. Now, wait till you see the commanding officer's concerns. He immediately is concerned about seeing Hoffer, number one, because he knows Hoffer's been shot in the head. And number two, he's worried about the danger of having somebody who may possibly have a head injury out, you know, on this particular job, it would seem. So I just want you to note his reactions to seeing Hoffer and the things that he says.
Love you, brother, but you should not be here.
Dude, I'm fine.
You got shot in the head.
Yeah, and I went and got checked out, and they said I'm fine. I said, do you feel like I'm fine to go back? They said, yes, absolutely. They checked my eyes. I didn't go unconscious. They checked my eyes. They said I do not have...
Dude, you got a huge fucking lump there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, you got
Yeah, I got shot in the fucking head. What do you expect?
My point is, you end up shooting somebody.
I did! I already did.
Shot someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a shame we don't get to hear the commanding officer finish that thought before he was boisterously interrupted by the celebration of Hoffer to let him know he had already shot somebody. I mean, you gotta think by this point it's become clear that the situation did not dissipate. The person that he shot was not the party that was obviously causing the whole thing. And the fact that he's still celebrating, or that he's just, I don't know. I mean, the situation seems odd to me, but like I said, obviously people can go round and round about this, but what gets me is the commanding officer's response, or the way that he reacts to it. So I'll tell you what, there is, and Hoffer should not have been re-okayed to go back out, because you'll see, I'm going to put the link to this entire video and below, down in the information below. Hoffer gets to the point, at one point, where he's stomping around, chomping at the bit, because he's trying to find a working ice pack, because his head is hurting, and it's bothering him so much. I mean, if that's the case, you know, was his mind possibly cloudy and, you know, not as clear as it should have been? I think there's a case.
I killed the dude. Haven't I killed the dude in the back?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
I
know
do
that.
have my phone with me.
So that brings us back to the way we want to see the image we want to perceive of our law enforcement. But you gotta know that there's kind of those guys out there like Hoffer, who are kind of just gung ho and everything, and they're good officers, but he really should not have been okayed to go back on duty after that. I mean, he really shouldn't have. And like, I encourage people to go and watch the entire video. It's within the first 10 minutes that you see all this, you know, well, most of what you saw in this video you see right at the opening. But the stuff about the ice pack is like within the first 10 minutes and stuff like that. I mean, he gets kind of manic, like frantic, like looking for an ice pack, one that's actually working. I guess he's found like 2 or 3 of them, but they don't work. And so he's getting, like, you can see he's getting almost like kind of perturbed. And I mean, to have that level where he's that desperate for an ice pack tells you that there was something going on, and his head may have been a bit more injured than he was letting on. But so, I mean, this all is something that should have just been considered, I think. But that's all for today, folks. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe.